This is your sixth attempt.
Hope you are not having this fatigue.
Do you think that nowadays that pragmatic approach followed by the doctor, where the medical profession is going, taking new colors of the corporate side?
Yes, sir, I do agree with this.
What do you mean by intra-party democracy and how it is important, especially in case of India?
Yes, please.
Thank you, sir.
So, comfortable, Polur?
Yes, sir, I'm very much comfortable.
Not too much of butterfly in the stomach.
Sir, I already had food at AP Bhavan.
Okay. Okay. Acha, tell us something about your name, Polur Sreelekha.
Sir, Polur is the surname, sir, and my original name is Sreelekha.
Okay. So surname comes first
Yes, sir.
in Telugu.
Yes, sir. Most of the times in southern India, surname comes first and then followed by the name, sir.
Okay. So what is the meaning of both the words, Sreelekha and Polur?
Polur is the place, a village in Tamil Nadu area, sir. So our ancestors got migrated from Tamil Nadu to the Andhra region hundreds of years back, and people started referring people to
Particular area with the village name, sir. So that is the actual village name, sir. And with respect to Sreelekha, so it has its roots in Sanskrit, which means a very good script and beautiful handwriting too. So, but when my parents gave me that name, since they are not aware of Sanskrit much, they thought Sreelekha indicates goddess Lakshmi. So, in South India, there is a culture that when a girl child is born, they'll consider it as that a goddess Lakshmi has born to them. So, that is why they gave the name Sreelekha, sir.
Okay. Acha, you are doctor by profession.
yes, sir.
Okay. So doing MBBS takes out a lot from you. It's very strenuous.
Yes.
That is what we have heard. I was told that it takes you have to score 50% marks in every subject to get an MBBS degree. Is it correct?
Yes, sir, true, sir.
Generally in other exams people can score 30-35%.
And they can get the degree, but not in MBBS. So, it's very strenuous, this course we have to do.
Yes.
You are working also.
Yes, sir.
And with that, this is your sixth attempt.
Yes, sir.
I
Yes, sir.
hope you are not having this fatigue syndrome.
Sir, yes, sir. Obviously, this is a very long and lengthy journey. Many of us will get fatigued, sir. But whenever I feel I'm low or whenever I feel that I'm depressed, so I motivate myself to look forward. And so because I made up my mind when shifting from medicine to civil services that civil services would offer diversity and challenges while working, and it also gives me
Ample opportunity to work for larger sections of the society, sir. This is what that keeps me always motivated, sir.
So you think doing MBBS will help you, or put it otherwise, when this idea of civil services came to you, after doing MBBS or while doing MBBS?
Sir, it was a gradual process, and it's an accumulated thing that started from second year of my medicine, sir. When I started exposing towards the patients, the ward side and others.
Second year.
Yes, sir.
So at that time also the idea came ki I cannot take the UPSC with MBBS papers. I will have to change, switch over to some other subject.
So actually, I took the decision during my internship, sir. So during second year, third year, and fourth year, I was observing the activities of the local district magistrate that he is doing, particularly with respect to healthcare sector. So, for example,
During my internship, I realized that there is much more that has to be done for the doctor to work properly to give the treatment to the patient. So we have n number of instances, like for example, there are n number of doctors and working for the patients throughout the day in the hospital. But the problem with the entire system is patients are unable to reach the hospital because of the poverty. I have come across instances where people stayed in the hospital for days together, like suppose 2 to 3 days, not going to their home.
just because they don't have a 7 rupees money for the bus charges. So then I realized that by joining civil services, I can do the other aspect, I can serve the other side of the healthcare.
You are doing the practice at the moment. I can see from your biodata.
Yes, sir.
Still, you are enjoying this medical profession?
So, yes, sir, though I enjoy, but at times it becomes too hectic for me to treat the patients too. So, it's like both, sir.
Okay. So, my last question, since you are from Andhra, after this formation of Telangana, how this has affected Andhra, particularly Andhra, I am not talking about Telangana, how it has affected Andhra after Telangana formation?
Sir, if we observe the journey of the Andhra Pradesh post bifurcation, so by that time the state got divided, Andhra Pradesh lost the Hyderabad, which is nothing but a 30% revenue source was lost for Andhra.
And parallelly, sir, Andhra has been made a agri-based society, and even Andhra has a very low HDI indices. So the onus lied on the government to build the capital, to bridge the revenue deficits, and to promote the infrastructure of the state, sir.
So, this was inevitable formation of Telangana?
So definitely, sir. As goes by various reports, this was actually expected, and that is the reason why there was so much of uproar against the bifurcation of.
Couldn't have been delayed anymore. Okay.
Okay, Sreelekha, you have come a long way, and your dedication to be a civil servant is reflected in that journey.
Thank you, sir.
But you see, like a doctor becoming a bureaucrat, maybe it is sometimes negative, but there are many positives too. Okay, which department will be your favorite one to serve if you become an IAS?
So definitely healthcare segment is my prime thing. So the other one is the agriculture, sir.
Who is health secretary now?
So, sir, I'm unable to recall, sir, but the job.
This is level analyst is again from our state.
Who is health minister?
Sir, Dr. Harshvardhan, but however, the cabinet has been reshuffled recently.
And in Andhra Pradesh?
Sir, again, sir, there is a reshuffling of the cabinet to in Andhra, which has happened very recently. Though I know the name, I'm unable to recall at this moment, sir.
So, what are the oath formats and oaths that you have taken so far in the journey of becoming a doctor?
So we have a Hippocratic oath, which was administered during our entry into the medical college, and also while during the exit of the medical college, sir.
Okay. Can we have any Indian personality also, or you can say a personality of ancient?
Sir, yes, sir. Recently, there is so much of debate is happening about incorporating Charaka oath as a replacement or alternative to the Hippocratic oath, sir. Sir, but personally, I believe that Hippocratic oath in it.
Widely accepted oath, and it was based upon some conventions happened at international level. So, replacing Charaka oath replacing Hippocratic oath completely with Charaka oath, it won't sound that good, sir. And moreover, Charaka oath has a few lacunae in it.
So, it has few provisions which goes against the spirit of the modern medicine, sir. So, for example, there are points that the doctor should not treat those candidates who turns against the ruler, which is not the case in a country like democracy, like ours. So, in that context, sir, rather than.
But don't you think that, okay, fine, not replacement but addition, in addition to the Hippocratic oath, we can have it given the kind of heritage sense that one has to carry, in context of no more brain drain, no more injustice done to the knowledge that we have gathered from the degree or post PG, right? And the Indian sense too. I feel that when we are making big projects for the political showcasing, like big gardens, making big statues, right? So that way, I think it is a good attempt to inculcate, I can say, little sense of the values that one should have from Indian side.
Sir, yes, sir, definitely, because promoting Charaka oath would pitch our Ayurvedic system at the international level too. Sir, but I personally feel that this is not the reason why the brain drain is happening at the country level. There are n number of factors that we should consider, sir. First of all, most of our doctors, they visit to US because of the standards of the quality of the life there, the education opportunities that the doctors are witnessing, and moreover, sir, the
that is happening in medical research is very high news. And I personally feel that we should focus on all these factors rather than debating much about the oath itself.
But if we are adding the Charaka oriented oath along with the Hippocratic oath, is it okay for you? Or
Sir, I'm very comfortable with the addition, sir. But sir, here once again, I would like to stress the fact that it's not the oath per se, but the spirit of the oath that is very important, sir. Sir, during our letters,
We were asked to read simply the oath, but we were not explained why a doctor should follow these particular ethics or etiquette standards, etc. So I personally feel that government or the hospital should teach the ethics rather than teaching them on through the letter.
do you think that nowadays that pragmatic approach followed by the doctor and the ethics that we are teaching them, where the medical profession is going, taking new colors of the corporate side, are you agreed with this?
yes, sir, I do agree with this. But sir, this is the case not only with medicine but with many other segments too, sir. However, we are seeing n number of doctors again. For example, sir, during the COVID times, there were doctors
Who have this human approach in solving the problem of the day. So we can't blatantly say that medical profession is getting corporatized. Already, sir, there are doctors who are working with the humanity.
If you are a DM, an IAS in the district, and some of the doctors, maybe DMO and other doctors, they are having private clinic in evening time. So what is your take on such parallel lines?
so we have
A Clinical Establishment Act which clearly stipulates that doctors who work for the government segment should not work for the private segment too. So, but here we should not go blindly by banning the private government doctors. We should not
blindly ban the practice of the government doctors in the private segment, because sir, we have a crunch of the doctors. If you won't allow them to work in the evenings, obviously it would become a huge problem in near future, sir.
So these doctors can be penalized as per law.
So they can be penalized. I request them, but the situation won't permit as it, sir.
So means then we are seeing the doctors.
Sir, but I don't find any problem if they work ethically. For example, sir, most of the problem that lies here is there is a diversion of the patient from government segment to the private segment. Then that is an unethical practice. Otherwise, if a doctor is fair enough and is contributing his extra time at the private clinic with minimal amount of charges, then that is fine for me, sir.
In national health policy, there was a concept out of pocket expenditure, OOPE.
Yes, sir.
What this concept is all about?
So out of pocket is nothing but the amount with which we are taking out from our pocket and spending on the health care.
With respect to this, the out-of-pocket expenditure is rising in India, particularly post-pandemic. Earlier, it used to be around
63%, but once the pandemic hit, it took the shape of roughly 80%. So which clearly indicates that there is a clear underfunding from the government segment.
So OOPE simply means that more than medical expenses, the person is able to, a person need to spend the money for traveling, lodging and boarding, sometimes medical and other things like the special diet for them. So this is what OOPE is. And India is not having that understanding that apart from the medicine and the doctors, these are the things which are more important.
Yes, sir. Even National Health Policy of 2017 has recommended to provide travel allowances to the people too, sir. So, for example, we have already schemes like Janani,
under which when a woman comes to the hospital, even her transit expenditures were reimbursed. So the same thing should come into picture with respect to other areas of health.
So now coming to the anthropology, do you find connection between medical and anthro knowledge?
So definitely, sir, because anthropology is a subject that deals with the evolution of the human itself, evolution in terms of culture, in terms of physical evolution, in terms of genetic evolution as well. So indirectly, medicine, anthropology has a component of medicine itself.
So what are the differences that you find in the Western medical knowledge and the Indian side or Asian medical knowledge and the practices?
So one thing is Western medical system has a
Recent production phase of 200 to 500 years back. So but the Asian systems as such, they are thousands of years back. So for example, if you take the case of community, it's happening from 2200 BC itself. So in that context, the origin is very
old of the Asian medical systems, and parallelly so the Western systems has it works on cause and effect phenomenon, and it can be evidently we can show the results too, But in case of Ayurveda or any other Asian medical systems, they work on healing the holistic, they work on treating the body as a whole, rather than rather than dividing them between
particular organs or organ systems as such.
Okay. So apart from this, if we talk about doctor associations and union in Western country or in India and in India,
Yes.
from anthropological perspective. So, do you find the collectivistic orientation there in Western side or in Indian side or on the Asian side?
So, pardon me, sir, I'm unable to.
Doctors Association and union, the demands of them. They use the union, doctors union, to fulfill their demand in India more or in the US?
So, I'm not exactly aware of the US, sir, but India, we have an active pressure group happening with respect to medical care, that is Indian Medical Association.
So, as an anthropology student, why it is so? Why such evolution of behavior?
So, one thing is, most of the modern medicine systems, it works on the profit motive these days. It has been working on the profit motive. And the second thing is, so they are
actually supposed to guard the community interests, particularly the professional interests of the doctors as a whole. So because of which a number of protests are coming from Indian, objections is coming from Indian medical associations.
The collectivistic versus individualistic approach, right? It is from this perspective, if we see US and India, where it is more, the collectivistic one or the individualistic one?
So, I personally consider our Indian scenario as a collective one, but rather here the collective is again a set of community, that is doctors. They are working for themselves alone.
But in general, if we talk about.
Sir, I'm so sorry, sir. I don't have deep knowledge in this area.
Okay, so the anthropology, which area was very much fascinating for you?
So it's about the tribes and their way of life passage, and even a more interest about genetic evolution also.
Okay. So if I talk about the evolution of this human species and Homo sapiens, can you just arrange them in a sequence? Like if I talk about general category, EWS, OBC, SC, ST, tribes, and before that, and even denotified tribes. From anthropology perspective, please arrange them.
Sir, I'm so sorry, sir. In what context or in what type of category should I arrange?
The knowledge, the advancement so far in social, customary practices, in traditions, in the government job, overall.
So with respect to the knowledge, we can't classify them as such. So because we find equally talented candidates from general category and even the tribal segment. And so with respect to the backwardness, rather we can classify them, sir. So even earlier various commissions have put forward documents that scheduled castes and scheduled tribes are the most backward, and followed by the OBC and followed the general category.
So tribals, STs are more backward in comparison to the tribals, you are saying this.
So, tribe is a very huge word, sir, among which a few tribes are scheduled under the constitution, because of which the term scheduled tribe has got into the picture. Rather than, sir, we have a group of PVTGs, primitive vulnerable tribe, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. In that sense, sir, with respect to materialistic things, definitely they are backward, but with respect to the culture and the knowledge, I would like to say that they are not at all backward, sir, because they are developing in their own sense.
Okay, as a doctor, if you need to treat them and their culture is saying that no, this is a customary practice, that in the blood relations marriage can happen, and as a doctor, if you need to counsel them, it is more difficult you to counsel a ST community or tribal community.
So definitely tribal community would be more difficult to approach.
More difficult, why?
More difficult to approach.
Why?
So the moment as a modern side medical doctor,
It would be difficult for me to penetrate to understand the customs of their tribes. So, but here we can approach them through their traditional medicine. Usually they are called shamans in different, called with different names in different.
So the basic difference between tribal and ST is that the tribals are not given reservation, right? Particularly,
Yes, sir.
they don't because we have not given them the education.
Yes, sir.
And that is why they are not opting for the government services too.
Yes.
And tribal people are part of heritage India. We want them to be as it is. And with, of course, certain benefits given to them. But for ST, they have already touched the education loan, they have already touched the government.
So here actually we are following the methodology of tribal Panchashil, which was emulated by our erstwhile former PM Jawaharlal Nehru sir, under which we try to recognize tribals brilliance in their own setting, and there are many guidelines that we should not
Say, for
impose.
example, the Jarawa tribes.
Yes sir.
We want them to be like that, right?
Yes sir.
Out of their own practices, if they are touching the education domain, it is welcome.
Yes sir.
But only thing that we are not touching them. Even Supreme Court told that the bus, even if it is punctured, will not be stopping in between. So that naked body should not be shooted by the tourist for their own fun sake purposes. Right?
Yes.
So as not to make mockery of their culture.
Yes. So this is in another way respecting the tribal culture.
Yes. So we cannot sentinels also. So there are many more examples. Good, Sreelekha.
Hi Sreelekha, how are you?
Hello ma'am, I'm doing good.
I will say you have a very nice name. You belong to Anantapur,
Yes ma'am.
right? Is there any historical reason why that region has been called or named as Anantapur?
Traditionally, Anantapur is a geographical area, and even the topography is very arid and serene. During the times of Vijayanagara
Period, they used to have construction of lots and lots of ponds and tanks for irrigation purpose, ma'am. And there used to be one pond named Anantasagaram, which is more than 100 hectares of occupying hectares of land, because of which the name came Anantapuram.
Okay. Now let's discuss about infrastructure. What do you think? What is infrastructure and types of infrastructure, and what is its significance in terms of development and economic growth of the country?
Ma'am, traditionally infrastructure.
the moment we heard the word, usually things that come to our mind is army plants, buildings, schools, railways, ports, and airways, etc. Definitely, ma'am, they are very important. They are contributing a lot to the economic growth of the nation. Ma'am, for example, if you consider the northeast region.
So we are witnessing more and more growth and GDP contribution to GDP from that area very recently because of the project that we have taken in the past 4 to 5 years. Ma'am, similarly, infrastructure
Aspect, which is usually not discussed that much, that is social infrastructure, like health, education, and others.
Okay, very well. Now, since we are talking about the health infrastructure, can you please mention few lacunas in the health infrastructure of India?
Ma'am, the first one that I would like to pinpoint is we don't have robust primary healthcare system, ma'am. We have crunch at the level of doctors, at the level of having PHCs, and even we are not investing enough into the primary healthcare segment. Apart from that, ma'am, there are other superficial issues like
having not enough number of doctors, enough number of medical colleges, and even there is an issue of transitional diseases. Like for example, earlier we used to have communicable diseases. We fought so hard for controlling tuberculosis, leprosy, and others, malaria
and others. And right now we are trying to curb, like decline the amount of obesity, cardiovascular diseases, and all, ma'am. This is the most important pressing issue. And ma'am, there is one more issue that is emerging in the recent years, that is antimicrobial resistance diseases, ma'am.
Okay, very well. Now, I think all throughout your answers, that there's one very prominent thing that I heard, and that is crunch of doctors, right? You have done MBBS, you are a doctor. Don't you think we already are short of doctors? We should be focusing on this profession rather than going to the administration.
Ma'am, I don't agree with the logic, ma'am, because if we observe the number of the doctors who are entering into the civil services, that is very few.
Hardly we can have below 10 numbers in the final list. Ma'am, if these doctors will turn into administrators, they can contribute indirectly to the healthcare segment immensely, ma'am. For example, ma'am, I would like to pick the case of Jayaprakash Narayan sir, who is a prominent IAS officer from our area. Ma'am, he's a doctor too, and he's an IAS officer too. As an IAS officer, ma'am, he worked.
He tried to bring nearly 2 lakh hectares of land under irrigation in his tenure. Apart from that, he is educating people on having political rights, civil liberties, and many others. So this is.
He worked at Dr. Kendo when he became a bureaucrat. Ma'am, and parallelly having a clear understanding of healthcare segment, doctors, if given opportunity in bureaucracy, they would come handy in times of crisis situations like COVID.
Okay, very good. Now, currently we all know about the Ukraine issue that is going on, right? There's a lot of news coming out every day related to Ukraine crisis, Russia, so on and so forth. What do you think is this current situation? Is this an extension of Cold War that happened way back?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am, definitely. If you observe the roots of the current crisis,
Ukraine started joining into the NATO, then Russia started attacking it, and it's keep on going. Ma'am, not only this, if you observe many other wars that are happening in the Gulf region and many other areas, these are the remnants of Cold War itself, ma'am.
Okay. Are you satisfied with the position that India currently is holding in regards to this issue? The India's position in regards to this issue, Ukraine-Russia issue, whatever the position is, are you satisfied with the position, or do you think there should be some changes in the position?
ma'am, I personally feel that we could be more assertive in asking Russia to stop the thing. Ma'am, but here we need to understand the position in which India is placed. Ma'am, we and Russia are
Nations, if we counter Russia, there is high possibility of Russia approaching China is more. So we need to think beyond the current situation, and we need to support nations based upon the consequences in near future too, ma'am. In that sense, what India has done is appropriately correct, ma'am.
Okay. In this very regard, what has been the role of United Nations?
Ma'am, United Nations, it's trying to impose sanctions, but still United Nations to help the cause.
sanctions itself. Ma'am.
Okay, that's it. Just in regards to
Actually
sanctions.
condemning the act, and it's trying to address the humanitarian crisis that is going on in the Ukraine by asking like-minded nations to help the cause.
Okay. Now, many a times United Nations, not just in this situation but even before this, has been questioned in terms of its relevance because it has completely failed in coming up with a solution to the problems that, even the humanitarian crisis, if we talk about. So what, according to you, do you think, does it require proper, is it relevant to our current context? If not, then what are the various changes that you can suggest we can have in United Nations?
Ma'am, definitely not with respect to this instance alone. There are many instances which again and again drives the
Reform should happen in a very faster mode. Ma'am, with respect to the reforms, I think there is a need to enhance the permanent seat capacity, and in countries like India, Germany, Japan, they are pitching to have a permanent membership in that. And ma'am, I personally feel that even there is a need to shift the voting share of United Nations General Assembly itself, ma'am.
Okay. Have you heard about Resolution 377?
Ma'am, I'm unable to recall.
Okay, very well. Now, coming a little closer to India, Indian Ocean region has recently, or even in last 10 years, has grown in its importance in the international arena. Can you please specify the areas that showcase Indian Ocean as an important area for international security?
Ma'am, I would like to think about
Ma'am, may I ask again? I mean, is the question about what actually India?
I'll simplify this for you. Significance of Indian Ocean region in regards to security perspective.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, one thing that we have done is when Maldives is in crisis, we sent our
troops and we try to manage the situation. And now parallelly, we are conducting anti-piracy operations in the Gulf region itself. And now I think these are the two areas that we are focusing. And now parallelly, we are trying to
bridge relationship with France, and we are countering China by supporting open sea trade, and we are trying to encourage open sea lines of communication too, ma'am.
Okay. But why suddenly Indian Ocean region is so much in talks in the international arena?
Ma'am, if we observe, the business models has shifted from west to the east, and probably this could be the reason why many countries are eyeing on in Indian Ocean region. Ma'am, if we observe, we have recently came out with the concept of Quad. which is trying to exert both political influence and military influence and parallel economic influence to the nation.
Okay. Okay, just one last question. What do you mean by intra-party democracy and how it is important, especially in case of India?
Ma'am, intra-party democracy involves, for example, if you take the Congress National Party, and ma'am, earlier we have a number of prime ministers from the party and followed by subsequently by their kinmen. So this is what we call as nepotism and favoritism happening here, and even often dubbed as dynastic politics happening in Congress. And parallelly, ma'am, if someone with a proper merit and proper experience is put assigned to the chair, then we can say that there is an intra-party democracy. And parallelly, ma'am, intra-party democracy also involves no influence of money and muscle power, and inclusion of the women too.
Okay. How is it significant in India's case? Just give me 2 to 3 pointers.
Ma'am, definitely it would widen the knowledge base of the representatives they themselves, and we could promote leaders rather than the managers to the political representative level.
Okay, thank you. All the best.
One factual thing.
Yes,
This is your 6th attempt.
Yes, sir.
What has been your performance during last 5 attempts?
So in the first initial managers to the, I was not aware of how to clear prelims itself. So I cracked prelims in my 4th attempt. Then I went on for interview. But I fell short of 20 marks to make into the final list.
How many marks?
20 marks. And during my last attempt, so just 3 days before the main interview, my father fallen prey to the COVID. So I was not in a proper mood to give the interview, sir. So there I lost in the interview.
How
and
many
again
marks?
this year I'm giving,
20
sir.
marks. What has been your score in last 2 interviews?
Sir, it was 165.
And second one?
Same, sir. Same scores.
Same score, 165.
Yes, sir.
Both the times.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, my interview happened in the last day and I was the last candidate, sir. And most of the questions were asked about medicine, but I personally feel that there is some communication issues or knowledge issues between the questions that they posed and the answers that I gave.
How many marks do you expect this time interview?
So I'm not expecting any.
Your expectation, I mean, you are entitled to have expectation.
So I don't know why, but still I'm more focused on giving proper answers. That's it, sir.
Okay, fine.
Sreelekha, your formal interview is over.
Yes.